Thank you for joining us again as we continue our virtual tour of the Tippecanoe Battlefield Museum. I'm Rick Conwell, Museum and History Store Manager for Tippecanoe County Historical Association, headquartered here at the site of the battle, which is operated as a county park by the Tippecanoe County Park and Recreation Department. About a mile from where we're standing is the site of Prophetstown, which was selected as the headquarters and training ground for a large Native alliance headed by Tenskwatawa, the Shawnee Prophet, and his brother Tecumseh. The site of Prophetstown was chosen at near the confluence of the Wabash and Tippecanoe rivers for a number of reasons, not the least of which was an attempt to establish the Wabash as an international boundary between American settled lands and Native/British settled ground. The British had an interest for a long time in having a buffer area between the aggressively expansionist Americans and the Canadians who they were trying to protect. This is one of the big reasons why they were cultivating the Native tribes as allies to help in the protection of Canada and giving them food, supplies, clothing, weapons, and so forth. We saw in our last episode, we talked about the chief's gun, which is one of the typical weapons that was being supplied to the tribes at that time. The exhibit we want to focus on today is designed to give us a little peek into what life might have been like at Prophetstown in the period immediately before the battle. On the back wall is an exterior shot of a typical Eastern wigwam of the time period, accompanied by an interior photo that shows foodstuffs, household goods, kitchen supplies, and so forth. More in the foreground, there are a couple of young Native people, residents of Prophetstown supposedly, a young warrior preparing himself to go into battle, while his wife or some young lady stands by with part of his equipment. Their surroundings are laid out to be fairly typical of what their camp might have looked like at the time. If we go to the left in this exhibit, you see a couple of these very rare artifacts that were actually found at the site of Prophetstown. A large wooden bowl was picked up by the troops who went to Prophetstown the day after the battle. In front of that is the fragment of a large brass trade kettle that also came from the site. There's very little material still in existence that actually can be documented to have come from the site of Prophetstown. So these are very rare artifacts. In our next segment, we'll take you to the territorial capital of Vincennes and link up with Territorial Governor William Henry Harrison and Tecumseh, the Prophet's brother, who has come to Vincennes for a large parley, and we'll see how events play out into the lead up to the battle a few months later.